Real quick before we start the video, guys, I have been watching a ton of Alpaco films and Power of Drew recently. They sort of inspired this style of video, and so check them out for sure. Power of Drew does a bunch of filmmaking gear, kind of chat stuff, and Alpaco Films, if you're in Micro Four Thirds and more on the Olympus side, he's always covering that stuff as well as everything else, so check him out for sure. What is up, everybody? Today I'm talking about something that's probably super niche. I'm talking about the GH6. I'm talking about the Leica 25 to 50 again. And I have something to say to Panasonic, I guess. And this is something that a lot of people don't really talk about, and if they do, it's a little disingenuous sometimes, but that's just something that isn't important for the actual process of photography and video, but it is important nonetheless, and that is confidence in a company. I think there's things that Panasonic has been doing and things about Panasonic that have been frustrating people. This applies to Micro Four Thirds and to their full frame cameras. So we'll start with the full frame cameras because that's been an ongoing issue that a lot of people know about. And we'll kind of go through this quick, so no worries. Chapter times a course if you don't care that much. But the L mount alliance, as you know, echoey voice reverb, Jared Polin style, it was a great idea. It was very similar to what Panasonic did with Olympus for Micro Four Thirds, where they took multiple companies making all types of lenses and some third-party ones too, but Leica, Panasonic, Lumix, Sigma, all are main members. All those lenses, I think, can be essentially considered first-party lenses, not third-party lenses, which is really cool. And theoretically, it opens up the mount and gets lenses made faster. The problem is there's still insane holes in their lineup. They have, at this time, 50, 85, I think 24 millimeters released. 24 is really new though, so I don't know if anyone actually has it. But the 35 is missing. They're all 1.8. They've got that 50 millimeter 1.4, but that's the only lens like it that exists. I don't even know if any other ones are being developed. They have a 16 to 35, but it's only f4. So f2.8 version coming someday. And then even on Sigma's side, they've got a pretty decent 24 to 70, but no 70 to 200. So if you want to match them, or if you just wanted that Sigma, like for example, for me, I've got the Lumix 70 to 200 f4 because the Lumix 70 to 200 f2.8 is ridiculously huge, ridiculously expensive. And if the Sigma 70 to 200 existed, I would seriously consider that over the Lumix. But unfortunately, it just isn't out. Even though they've got that mirrorless focal range on other mirrorless cameras, which baffles me. So, L mount is coming out very slow. Big delays, and I understand there was unforeseen circumstances with the pandemic and everything like that. But don't put out these, timelines of what you're going to do without sticking to them, or change them as soon as you know that something's going to happen, and be open and transparent, which is something we rarely get in the camera industry, and we aren't getting here. The second thing is the GH6. I've seen everyone continue to say that camera is being released in 2021, but there was an article that said that Panasonic's pushing it back. Knocked over my camera. There's an article out there that said Panasonic's pushing it back to Q1 2022, which isn't a huge delay, but I already, in my mind, was thinking that's getting pushed back. Maybe they'll have the pre-orders open in December of 2021, but, it's going to be such a popular camera, and with the chip shortages, almost certainly is not going to get into really anyone's hands until January, February, whatever, 2022 anyway. And I understand chip shortages, shipping issues. But that being said, so many people wonder all the time, should I wait for the GH6? And I think it's getting harder and harder to do that. I mean, the GH6 probably should have came out in 2020, if we're being honest. Then it got pushed back to 2021. Well, not pushed back. That's just speculation. Don't quote me on that. But now it's got released and announced on 2021. I think probably was because they anticipated the backlash for the GH5 Mark II, which I think is a really good camera, actually. I think it's got a lot of really great stuff, and I'm actually thinking about buying one for sure. But a lot of people are like, I'm not getting that. I'm going to wait for the GH6. So they announced it to kind of be like, well, we're doing the GH5 Mark II and the GH6. I think that was maybe it was the plan all along, but it felt like a last-minute thing to me. And now the GH6 is in 2022. The final thing that's been shaking my confidence a little bit recently is, well, I love this lens, Leica 10-25. And I also love the idea of the Leica 25-50. In fact, I've been championing that lens idea for years, basically since this first lens came out. And it got announced, it got up for pre-order with a release date of August 24th or August 26th, depending on who you ask. And as far as I know, nobody in the United States has got that lens. My friend in Germany got his recently and has been testing it out. And so what does a shipping date mean? Are you shipping it from local places in the States? Are you shipping it from Japan or wherever the lens is manufactured? And no matter where you're shipping it from, why is it taking over a month to get there? I was naive enough to think that I would get my copy of the lens within a week or two. And now it's been 4 or 5, so clearly that didn't happen. And so yes, is this video all sort of me ranting and complaining that I don't have my fancy new lens? Kind of. Yeah, but I think it is emblematic of a greater phenomenon, which is the confidence in these camera brands. Every time Panasonic releases a new camera and it doesn't have a new autofocus system, a revolutionary new autofocus system, people get just a little bit more disillusioned with Panasonic. Like if Panasonic, people don't have confidence in Panasonic because of their autofocus and their inability or unwillingness to fix it. And some people, like me, don't mind so much because autofocus isn't a huge part of what we do, and Panasonic autofocus is fine for what we do mostly. But it is one of those things where it's just like, why don't they fix this? Why can't they improve this in the way we want them to? But that's probably a topic for another video. Every time Panasonic releases like a stopgap camera like the GH5 Mark II, it just wears down that brand just a little bit. And so I think with this 25-50, that was a good opportunity to recommit themselves to Micro Four Thirds. And it didn't really end up like that, for me at least, because of these shipping delays and things like that. But hey, I'm still happy it exists. I'm still happy it's on the way. I think I'm going to get it pretty soon. And I'd love to show you guys some tests with that thing for sure. But the autofocus, the GH6, the L mount, the late shipping on these lenses, I realize these are things outside of their control for the most part, especially with manufacturing and shipping being still not even close to what it was pre-pandemic. But Yeah, it's an interesting time. And I'm a huge Panasonic fan. Everybody knows that. I can't imagine switching or shooting on anything else anytime soon. But this is more to relay how a lot of other people are feeling about Panasonic right now, about Lumix right now. Is there anything that can be done about it? Probably not. But I think open and honest communication and transparency would go a long way for people. So yeah, what's the takeaway from this video? Not sure exactly, but I thought it was worth saying and just bringing up some stuff that has been bugging me about Panasonic recently. I'm still Panasonic all the way, but yeah, let me know, guys. What's your thoughts on Panasonic? Is it time to move on? Are there better systems out there? Are you sticking with Panasonic for the foreseeable future? Or is it time for something new? For me, I'm in the Panasonic camp, but how long can we go? I think I could use the GH5 and the S5 for years to come easily. But I don't know if everyone's in that same space. So let me know down below. Have you left Panasonic? Have you moved on? Have you diversified and got other cameras? Really curious to know. Appreciate you guys listening to me talk about this stuff. And I will see you guys in the next video. Subscribe. Whatever. Do whatever you want.